Hello, everyone. Thank you to be here. Tonight, I will speak about testing and how you can speed them up. My first question will be: how many of you have UI tests, like end-to-end test, not snapshot testing or things like that? How many of you have it? Okay, some of them, it's nice. And how the speed is? Slow, horrible. Thank you. Okay. So I'll quickly present myself. My name is Romain. I joined back market more than 1 year ago now, and I'm working on the mobile core team. So my daily work is making other iOS engineers happy when I can. And when I start here, the main issue was our end-to-end tests, our stack. We have 70 end-to-end tests, but taking more almost 2 hours to execute. So it was very slow. The environment was very unstable, a lot of flaky tests, and the feedback loop was not very good for engineers because, yeah, too much time. So at the beginning, well, I was like, okay, how we can speed up this? And I give a look to Apple solution. The first one, the easy one, is the parallel simulator. Is a simple checkbox you have in Xcode, like that trigger for you automatically parallel builds. So you generate your testing builds, and after that, is code handle it automatically to, yeah, spinning tests in different devices at the same time. Pretty nice, pretty easy, but limited to simulator. So it's okay if you run only of it, but when you run it on CI, it's a disaster. Pretty slow, lot of issues. In the test flakiness is more and more a big problem. So another solution, like you can see in internet, is having multiple test plan. Like, okay, I will generate multiple test plan, one for my P0 test, P1, and yeah, doing it like this. The main issue with it is you need to generate each time a build for each of these tests. So it uses a lot of CI time. But at least you have something that you can start to scheduling or run in parallel. But having files, test plan, you have manual maintenance. So don't wait, even when your team is pretty scaled. So before going into the detail, I will just make a quick reminder about the different scaling approach that exist in software engineering. The first one is a vertical scaling, like, okay, I have an issue, it's very slow, so I will take a bigger machine to speed up my test. Okay, it's a good solution because it's very easy. You just need to bump to another machine. On your CI, you just select another, yeah, target. So big boost. Main issue is the cost. It's also boosting your costs and difficult to control. And also at one moment, you don't have bigger machine available, so you will hit a limit. And you have the horizontal scaling, but it's instead of having a bigger machine, just using the same machine, but in parallel multiple times. So the main good things about it is you can fine tune performances because you don't have a big performance bump, but also not a big pricing bump. But the biggest issue is you need to implement coordination logic and complexity. So it's a trade-off. Now, I will start explaining shardings. So it's shardings, but it's more for testing. So the goal of shardings is for test is you have a list of tests and you will split them into different buckets in order to execute them in parallel on different machines. So the goal of this is to reduce the execution time and have a faster feedback loop. So for example, if your test take 90 minutes, theoretically, with the sharding, you move to reduce to 30 minutes of execution because you split in 3 shards and you speed up. This is the theory. So basically, you have your test plan, you build your app, you have some scripting magic, and you have one test build for each of your device available, which only contains the test you select. Now, before going to the sharding solution, I will explain a little bit how XCTest is working and how Xcode build, is generating testing build. So when you execute build for testing with Xcode, it will generate different artifacts. You will have a file called XCTest run and all the bundles and dependency needed to run this test. So for UI test, generally you have your application, extension, notification, etc. And also what's called a test runner hub. So for UI testing, it's a little hub that is controlling your app interfaces and execute the test you want. And if we deep dive a little bit into this file, we can see something very interesting. First, we have the test configuration. We have test configuration section and also test environment information. This information are taken directly from the test plan when you compile. And also you have some identifier like only test identifier or skip test identifier that are empty by default. Skip identifier is and these two identifiers, take generally a function name. So it's a test function you want to skip or only execute. But by default, when you use test plan, it's empty. And also you have a key name dependent product path that is telling to the runner, this is the binary I need to execute in order to run this. So basically, Xcode build is reading this file, parameter itself, and let's go. So now we'll go a little bit into how we create shards. So the first step for creating a shard is how we can list the test. Because like I said, test plan didn't contain your test list. So XCTest run never. You can maybe try to parse the code base, but honestly, it's very tricky and very fragile. So if you want to have issue every week, you can, but not the best. So we need to find something that is accurate and stable in order to retrieve this list. And the only thing that is accurate and stable is a test binary. So hopefully, Xcode build is providing a function allowing you to retrieve the test you have in your binary with enumerate test. But you need to set a lot of parameters. You have the format you want, the style, and you need to provide a destination. So a simulator if your build is targeting a simulator, or real devices if you're targeting the devices. And at the end, you just have a JSON list with the function name. So pretty easy to use. No need to add extra tools or complex logic. But issue is you need to boot or having a simulator device connected. So on the CI, it's not very great because if you, for example, target UI test on real devices, you cannot retrieve this list because CI provider didn't have devices connecting to your CI. And also, it can be slow because even for simulator, they need to boot a simulator in order to retrieve this list. So you have an alternative. If you really need speed and use on real devices, is this one. I will not explain it because I'm lazy and ChatGPT can explain it better than me. But basically, it's just executing LLVM and retrieving the list. So kind of reverse engineering of the binary in order to retrieve the list, the test list. So this one is really if you need performances and specific cases. So it's fast because it's instant. You don't need to boot everything. You don't even need to have this code installed, at least in LLVM, but you don't need to boot something. Way more complex. We're using this solution, but we don't know if it's future proof yet because maybe one day we will have something that break. Jean-Charles is happy. But yeah, we're using this one because for your cases, executing on real devices, it was necessary. After you retrieve your test list, you need to generate buckets. Nothing very complicated, simple math. Just you split your test into different buckets. So we have 9 tests. We put full test in each bucket. Nothing more to add. And after, this is where we we play with the XCTest file. So we have the original my test XCTest file that is empty with only test identifier empty and information about binary needed to execute. And what we do is just creating copy of this file, injecting each test into the only identifier. So each bucket is represented into each file. So at the end, we have just something like this. We have 3 XCTest file and containing each bucket of tests. And we change nothing about application or test runner. So we don't need to rebuild something. We have one build and there we go. We just need to execute this with test without building. So we don't go into the CI process here because depending the provider, it can be difficult to implement it and sometimes even impossible. But I have more information about it later. But basically, the process is we generate an application and the tests in one workflow pipeline. After that, shards are generated, and these shards are pushed into different machine, and each machine executes the tests. At the end, we retrieve all the tests into one machine that merge all the results and make analysis about success or failure. Conclusion. So implementing this solution was a great gain of performances because we reduce the test by 65%. And the most important is we are faster, but the cost on CI are the same. We don't have any extra cost. But some improvements can be done because like I said, the split in 3 and having 30-minute execution is not the reality. The reality is more, maybe one child will take 40 minutes, one will take 20 minutes. So the improvements and the thing we work on is using data of previous one in order to have more buckets with the same execution time. So the closer we have, sorry, to the same execution time, we speed up the test. Should I use it? Good question. Only if you need it. It's a pretty dumb response, but it's depending on which solution you use, which provider. Um, we use it on your side because it was really a pain point, and also thanks to AI tools now, it's pretty easy to build this kind of toolings because they know about this and they can pretty help you to doing it. In 3 days, I was able to have something up and running. And depending your testing service also, they provide sharding by default. And if you are using Bitrise, they spot we are doing stuff like that, and we work with them to develop a sharding function. So if you're on Bitrise now, you have a sharding computation function that's allowing you to run this built in. So you don't even need a script or whatever. It's more limited by your a little bit limited by the solution because they use it's code build, but if you just need to run on the simulator, it's a way to go. And now, if you have some question.
Thank you, Romain. Do we have... Je pense. Yes, should be good. Thank you, Romain. Do we have some questions? Front, yes. Hello, mister.
Hello. I'm very curious about your infrastructure below. I mean, are you maybe using AWS with bare metal or?
Only Bitrise, we're using Bitrise, but yeah, lot of screen. We don't use Bitrise step directly. We have a lot of custom script, but that's why they spot we do something very weird with a lot of machine in parallel, but no bare metal, nothing like that, because you need to have a better commitment into your infrastructure that is pretty big, honestly. You said about XCTest on your configuration that you use actually. Did you plan about Swift testing about your setup? So Swift testing is working for unit tests, but it's not the runtime is not working for UI tests for the moment. But so we cannot move on it. We will move on it for our unit tests, but not UI tests for the moment. But also we work on more shift lefting and having more integration tests than end-to-end tests. Just having end-to-end tests for what we need really, and like this also we reduce time.
Yes.
Why not using snapshot testing? It's super fast.
We also have snapshot testing, but it's something we implement 6 or 7 months ago. But it was something that we are running regularly because we have, for example, payments configured for a lot of countries around the world, and we need to test if something is not broke by someone configuring something on the back office. So we need to keep them also.
So you're doing both, like snapshot test and
yeah,
UI
that's why we
test.
try to reduce end-to-end test and having more snapshot and integration test.
And you don't want to remove UI tests for having just snapshot test for everything.
Sorry?
You don't want to just remove UI test and just keep snapshot testing, which is much more faster. Or is
Yeah,
that
but
use case why you
it
use
cannot help for all the cases we need to test.
Okay.
For payment, for example,
Oh, yes,
it's
of course,
something
yeah.
I need more mods, etc. But yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Roman. Great talk. I wanted to ask you if you could go back to the slide with the improved faster tool, which provides the sharding configuration. You know, there was not the XCTest. Yeah, that one.
That one?
The next one.
Oh,
Previous one? This one. Exactly. Just thinking about abstraction here. Do you think there could be a way to provide this more generically for the community?
Yeah. It's something we can put open source. For the talk, I put a bash version, but our version are built upon Python. We also have a Swift version on the work, but it's something. Yeah, we think about open sourcing maybe, but it's still in reflection.
Awesome. Thank you.
For end-to-end test, you can also disable animations. So it would depend on the number of animations that you have in your test. But do you know if you can decrease a lot the execution time on the CI as well?
Animation is more fixing flakiness on testing because they are already disabled on this one. And yeah, you can have some speed improvement, but not so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Romain.